As does any new game release, Borderlands 3 has a lot of news stories surrounding it, and sometimes not everyone has the time to read all those articles, so I've decided to make a short 5-minute video just to go over some of the news from Borderlands 3 this week. Now, we've already been introduced to the main 4 Vault Hunters, but this week we got news that those 4 may be it. That's right, it's possible that Zane, Amara, Flak, and Mose may be the only playable Vault Hunters in the game. The community is kind of split two ways about this. Some players believe that if they add more Vault Hunters, then they will be able to enjoy the game longer, with there being more characters and all. However, Randy Pitchford put out in a tweet saying that he feels it would be better to invest the company's time into expanding current Vault Hunters. I don't really know how to feel about this. On one hand, without DLC characters, we never would have gotten Krieg, Gage, Aurelia, or Jack's doppelganger as playable characters. On the other hand, if it allows us to get better mission DLCs and more in-depth lore of the characters, then I think it might be worth the trade-off. However, both Gage and Krieg were highly revered characters for Borderlands 2. Maybe you could let me know in the comments. Would you prefer more Vault Hunters, or would you rather go more in-depth with the current Vault Hunters lore? Wait, before you go on with the video. See the poll? Yep, that one right there. I am doing a legacy playthrough of Borderlands over on my Twitch channel, and I just need to know what character you'd like to see me play. There's just the 4 options: Mordecai, Brick, Roland, or Lilith. And for those of you who don't know what a legacy playthrough is, it's just a playthrough of Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, and Borderlands 3 sequel, all in like one series. So if you could just take the quick 5 seconds to answer the poll up at the top right, that would really help me out. Thanks. Another thing that was revealed this week is that the main story of Borderlands 3 will be 30 hours long, and that's running through full speed. This news came in with an interview with PC Gamer and Paul Sage, the game's creative director. To directly quote Sage, "If you beeline it through, and I mean beelining it through, it might take you 30 hours to beat the main story." I just want you all to think about how long that is. Have you thought about it? Good. Speedrunners of Borderlands 2 beat the game in just over 4 hours during the hunt, and that's without glitches. 30 hours is more time than there is in a day, and as Paul Sage said, that's if you beeline it through. With all the farming and the leveling that will need to be done just to have an enjoyable experience in the game, that takes that 30 hours and turns into well over 50, or maybe even 70. That means that if you sit down to play Borderlands 3 with the intention of playing it until you're done, then you'd better bring lots of pizza, a whole buttload of pop, and, oh yeah, probably a catheter or two. Lastly, for this week in Borderlands 3 news, this isn't really news about the game, but I'll tell you it anyways, because it is news about Gearbox. There's some controversy right now surrounding physical assault accusations made by former Claptrap voice actor David Eddings against the one and only Randy Pitchford. The accusations were made in the heat of an argument on Twitter about Eddings not voice acting for Claptrap in Borderlands 3. Eddings voiced Claptrap in all of the other games, including Tales from the Borderlands. He was an executive at Gearbox up until 2017 and took on the role for free. But since he's no longer working at Gearbox, he wanted to be paid for returning in Borderlands 3, which Gearbox didn't want to do. In the heat of this argument, Eddings said that during the game developer conference in 2017, Randy Pitchford physically assaulted him in the Marriott Marquis Hotel. Now, while I'm not going to say that these accusations are true or not, I will say that I'm not sure if Claptrap is going to feel the same as he did now that he isn't being voiced by Eddings. Well, it wasn't the busiest week for news in the Borderlands community. There was still a bunch of interesting things. Hopefully, next week, we'll find out even more things about Borderlands 3, and maybe even reach a conclusion in the whole Randy versus Eddings controversy. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up as it lets me know that you enjoy this series. Also, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on next week's video. Until then, keep your maple leaf closer and your maple syrup closer. Bye-bye.